Alright, this is just a test recording. If everything goes well,
Now I have
then...
a real challenge for you.
Mindy, we're ready. What do we do?
Rings will appear.
Alright, so this is a ring challenge. So far, it's actually recording way better. Oh, insanely better! What the hell? Okay, so it might have been just how fucking much demand I was putting on my computer, demanding it to output such a high bit rate. There's going to be some inevitable lag. I don't know if that's something I can particularly fix, but we're going to see how this goes. Anyway, if you are just joining the video, this is my playthrough of the Spongebob Squarepants movie. I played this game a lot as a kid, and I always sort of viewed it as a comfort game. I'm doing this mainly to just sort of get back in the rhythm of streaming and, you know, get into the groove of actually content creating and doing things that I want to do as a form of, you know, a life thing to do. I don't want to spend my whole life doing, like, you know, common career stuff or blue-collar work. I want to be able to be one of the people that says, like, yeah, I play video games for a living. Or I go to, whatchamacallit, conventions and whatnot and help promote and sell video games. Like, I would love to be able to do that as a sort of career. But I also don't want it to be solely for money. I only want it to be a career in that I want it to help make ends meet. I want it to be how I help make ends meet, as well as how I just, you know, experience a life that doesn't have some nonsensical crap to it endlessly. So that's why right now you're seeing me start off with a much more, I dare say, milquetoast game. It's not quite as intense as Batman Arkham. It's not quite as excellent as Sonic Frontiers. So bear with me on this. This is more or less me trying to play something a bit more fun and less, you know, intensive for a while. Something that I can sort of, I won't say turn my brain off playing, or just talk about random stuff playing. More than anything else, I want my playthrough of this game to be my, you know, my relaxation playthrough. Something to put on for some background noise to just enjoy yourself a little bit. Enjoy some nostalgia. Enjoy, you know, whatever the heck is going on with your life. Or, you know, just generally something a bit less intense than a high-octane action game or stealth action masterpiece like Metal Gear Solid or something. Anyway, that's the ring challenge. Very easy in this case.
You've beaten the ring challenge.
So I'm going to get the Macho Time challenge done, just because I know I can do it, and just because, like, I've gotten better at the idea of speedrunning.
Since you beat the other challenges so easily, I have a tough one for you.
Easy? Yeah, it was easy.
Oh, very easy.
I find it funny that both of them are kind of uncertain about calling it easy because the ring challenges are easily the hardest thing to do when you're a kid, until you see the Macho Time challenge, which is just impossible. Excuse me, I'm drinking some water. But it all sort of adds up to the game having an insane amount of replay value.
Get to the end of the road.
So, like, you basically get to experience the game in this insanely in so many forms and fashions that it becomes almost like a new experience every time. What I'm doing right now is just generally putting some of my speedrunning chops to use. I'm going to actually hoard most of my nitrous here so that I can easily sort of get through some tough shortcuts, as well as get out turns fast, so I'm not really stuck on any turn for a significant amount of time. I probably should have saved my nitrous there, actually, all things considered. but I will grab this nitrous so that I can hopefully make a... As a matter of fact, I'll just grab both those and I will make a... not really a shortcut so much as it is just hoarding nitrous so that I can make some pretty chintzy moves and shortcuts and maneuvers later on. But as I said, Macho Time challenges are basically impossible when you're a little kid. They're overwhelmingly difficult, overwhelmingly tight with their time limits, and as a result, you're going to very often fail them. What I'm doing right now is being extremely conservative with my nitrous so that I can sort of just do my best to skip some segments, hopefully cut some turns short, get out of turns quicker. As we can see, only so much managing to pull it off. I also really want to make these water areas very smooth if I can, because if I don't, then I lose a ton of time on them. What I'm doing here is I'm going to skip both those ramps. Or I was, and I ended up hitting that. That might be very, very bad, because I might end up running out of time. It's very possible I run out of time here now, thanks to that one fuck up. But I'm going to do my best to hope I make it within the next 30 seconds. All things considered, I can possibly make it. It's just going to be very touch and go. Okay, I'm going to make it. It's just going to be very, very tight. Okay, I cut this short and... It's funny that we passed the Sea Needle when it's such an important location in battle for Bikini Bottom. But yeah, sub 245 is a very, very, very good time. And it looks like there's going to be some inherent lag that will be inescapable, but bear with me.
You can try and beat your best time on this road.
We'll do it, Mindy. Nothing can distract us.
Wheels on the petty.
Now, from here on, the challenge will only be to just beat your own time. Otherwise, you can literally just drive around the course as you wish. There's nothing telling you what to do, but it's very nice to do. Oh yeah, I should also probably show these off. So, what you get from treasure tests is extras. You get to do a whole bunch of really, really neat little stuff like film trailers, little art, concept art, and overall it's just really, really cool. I'm going to turn on, for example, long bucket head antennas, and it basically just makes things a little bit more interesting. But from here on out, we have our next level, 3,000 miles to Shell City. This is one of my favorite levels in the game, honestly. And from my previous video, you'll probably know I already really love the redneck hillbillies here and how much they laugh. And as you can see, yeah, all the bucket heads now have way longer helmets. We can see the hillbillies laughing there. They're gonna be all over the level just laughing at us.
Have enough Goopy Goober tokens. Now I can teach you the bash move.
Now the thing about the bash is, when it comes to speed runs, you actually don't want the upgrade
Now on.
because it's way slower.
Those radio towers
If
are
you-
broadcasting Plankton's hypnotizing messages.
If you get the upgraded version, you have to explode it by default, which is inherently slower than just us using the bash. While it's easier for killing enemies and whatnot, and creates an explosion that makes it way easier to take out a group, it's also very, very, very slow. Like this. It turns into a metal gauntlet that sticks into enemies and automatically explodes after a short time. Oh yeah, we have an enemy cutscene here. And these guys basically are invincible to... Yeah, we saw this cutscene earlier in the previous stream. The thing about them is they're called spitters. They're normally a massive problem when you're just, you know, only stuck with your basic attacks, and are literally impossible to defeat without upgrades if you don't have the bash. However, thanks to my upgraded karate chop here, I will always knock back their projectiles if I just click square the moment the projectile goes after me. It's an extremely easy way of basically making them invalid as an enemy, but it's also a little bit iffy as something to do, because it's like there's a lot of ways it can go wrong. Anyhow, we have hammer hillbillies here, not very strong, especially with the metal karate chop. They go down in one hit just like the goofy goober hammer grunts. And as I said in the previous stream, which you can check out, and probably going to be linked below in the description, in general, this level's music is basically a platformer, slow-paced version of Up.
Good thing Spongebob wrote.
Okay, if I was speedrunning, that would actually be a reset, fun fact. If I got hit by the spitter there, then getting hit by a spitter at all throughout the game creates what's called the ice physics glitch, which basically drastically slows you down whenever you're on ice, instead of making you accidentally speed up. And as a result, you will never go the same speed on ice ever again. You will end up always going slower. It's very upsetting to learn about, that you basically can never get hit by a spitter if you're doing a speed run, because the later floating block challenges basically mean if you want to get an optimal pace on later floating block challenges, you need to never get hit by a spitter. Yeah, you're hearing Plankton just loudly aggrandizing his awesome plan and how it absolutely worked. Yeah, he will basically just constantly taunt and tease you as you go through the level. It's in general just a very funny level, very calm level. It's pretty much the end of early game, and is very much designed to be that way. You really can tell that it's not designed for... It's sort of designed to make sure little kids struggle from here on out. Like, you're definitely not going to just, you know, stroll through the game in one go. It definitely fulfills the classic sort of... Fun fact, if you're a younger kid watching this, or, you know, 18 or below 15 years old, games in this era were basically designed to make sure that you couldn't really just easily beat it as a kid, because stuff like blockbusters and rental facilities meant that you could get a game extremely cheap and play it for a weekend. So due to the length of games back then, like, this is not a long game at all, you end up with a ton of games that are designed to make sure that you can't really beat it as a kid unless you're really, really good at the game, even when you're a little brat. And this level is pretty much the point where the game is saying, okay, you're either A, only beginning to get through this as a kid, or you're struggling immensely, and the game is basically from here designed completely to make sure you don't get to easily get through it all. Yeah, as you can see, they're just gonna keep laughing at you. It's very funny. What I'm going to attempt is something very dumb, especially for a novice like me. There's a chance that I will literally just instantly die the moment I fall in the water here, but I'm going to try it anyway, and I'm going to hope that getting my position right, I will be able to make this skip, which I should only be able to do this stage upcoming with Patrick, but I'm going to try to do it with Spongebob. Nope. He automatically dies. Okay, so What I was trying to do was a bash boost. I'm just gonna kill these guys real quick. Damn. I did not mean to get hit.
Love opening presents. Filling, but not heavy.
I'm gonna get my health back, and what I'm going to do is set up a bash boost. Now, I did this last stream. Hopefully I pull it off. This is probably the easiest one to do if you're a novice. So what I'm going to do is hopefully get it. Damn. There's like a small frame window where you're able to literally just instantly jump, instantly pull off a bash, and then from there, yeah, you're able to pull off a bash and then instantly jump out of it to avoid the fallout from it or getting hurt. I didn't manage to do it this time. I'll hopefully do it some other time. But it is a really cool trick and, you know, generally awesome to see. Anyway, as I probably already said last stream, this is the SpongeBob challenge, SpongeBall challenge. Just the general SpongeBob minigame of the game, sort of focused around just good timing and decent platforming in a way, because you can't jump, nor can you really, whatchamacallit, fully control exactly where you're going. So as a result, you're kind of forced to deal with the ball physics and navigate all the little obstacles that come along. I'd say of all obstacles, it's easily the collapsing platforms that are my least favorite because they're the ones that are spammed most, and there's always something like this fan here designed to make sure you can't really easily get through it. As a kid, I could never beat this level thanks to that last fan. But yeah, I'd say between SpongeBob and floating block challenges, the SpongeBob challenge is harder. It is 5:30 where I am right now, so I'll probably continue for another hour. Oh, I still have an upgrade. I'm going to give Patrick the Star Spin upgrade so that he can deflect projectiles too. Again, very important bonus effect. Generally makes combat way easier. Makes it so that you can't really, you're not going to worry about projectile type enemies anymore thanks to it. Also always going to go for the smashing those blocks up real quick. The general focus of this part of the game is going to be straight up just getting through a lot of the slightly more difficult platforming. And you can generally expect things to be a bit more... You can expect things to be a little more chaotic from here on. Like, you're going to see more platforming challenges like this. Oh! Whew! I did not expect to... No way! It happened twice! Okay, so what happened there was the literal exact moment I made those jumps, the steam jet came out and damaged me, which is probably the worst thing that can happen. Yeah, SpongeBob is right. It's always a bit of a close call. You will see a lot more challenges like what I just did there, where the crates will be arranged in a fashion that doesn't let you just jump up to wherever you're trying to go. You will also see a lot more enemy spawners. You'll see a lot more enemies, since from here on out are wearing bucket helmets. They'll be more aggressive. And this from here is just me sort of... From here, this is just basic challenges. There's always going to be like a sort of minigame phase in every level where you're able to play as a different character, or will generally experience the level in a certain fashion to specifically complete a challenge that only that character can complete. I unlocked the bungee challenge real quick for the sake of just being able to warp to it when I need to. It's not super necessary to do that, I just did it for the sake of not having to the wall after I get the token. There's a teleport box right there. Same function as in Battle for Bikini Bottom. I don't know what I just did there. Okay, so here's another thing, a neat thing you can do. Dive beneath a target and hold yourself there, and you can just spam dive as much as you need to. And you can literally just spam dive ridiculously quick.
Ooze, macho.
Yeah, you can basically avoid anything like obstacles. Yeah, you'll basically avoid most of the difficult parts of a bungee challenge by just doing that trick. Very easy to do, like a lot of tricks in this game are, but overall just sort of fun to pull off anyway. Anyway, we got another tower here. Very simple process, but whoops.
I'm doing this for your own good, Finger Power.
And again, this is what I call the very end of early game. This is the point where 3,000 Miles of Shell City in particular is, as a level, is a lot more structured like later levels in the game. Like, there's a lot more challenges, a lot more things that can hurt you, a lot more things that will kill you, and you're going to notice them. It's going to be a lot more platforming, like, as you see... Oh yeah, there's Patrick over there. He will fall as soon as I get over to him, but you also notice, as I will do this platforming challenge, that spitter over there will immediately start working things at me. Again, a symbol of the fact that the game will be ramping up the difficulty from here. A symbol that, you know, all the stuff that you were taking for granted, I'd say, earlier in the game, will start being a lot more tough. Also, watch this. Poor guy falls. But yeah, the game gets a lot more difficult from here on. And I feel it's not for nothing that it introduces the floating block challenge. Which, again, I'd say is just a little bit harder than the whatchamacallit Spongebob challenge. If only because, unlike the Spongebob challenge, you are always timed for these. So you have to be at least decent at the platforming in this game and understand how things work. Another thing you gotta understand is that this is easily the point where you will start seeing some of the game's nastier tricks. Like that extra up there. It's also not for nothing that Patrick is the one who does the floating block challenges, so that you can't really rely on SpongeBob's double jump, because SpongeBob's double jump actually gains a lot of height. Patrick's double jump more or less just continues his momentum upward from his original jump instead, or preserves whatever momentum he has in the air. So as a result, it's way harder to do this as Patrick because he just naturally doesn't jump quite as high as SpongeBob. Yeah, like as you can see, his double jump basically is just putting him back up to where he would be normally jumping. You also get those platforms. They're very difficult to deal with when you're a kid. Even as an adult, they kind of mess me up. Oh yeah, and your time does not reset anytime you fall, so it's very important you do not fall often. If you fall too much, you will very quickly understand why these challenges are a lot harder than the Spongebob challenge. If you're a faller, yeah, these are going to be the worst thing ever for you. If you're not good at platforming, this stuff will be ridiculously hard for you. Like, as you can see there, I'm basically struggling to just land on that. Half because I'm talking, half because just the nature of rotating blocks means that you do not have a consistent surface. They start off spinning horizontally so that you can get used to platforming across them, as soon as they start being perpetually spinning up and down, like that's when they will become a lot harder to land on, because you gotta specifically time when you're jumping on them more than ever, like that. And now we have our ice cubes. They all shrink and pop as soon as you jump on them. Also, you get this trippy visual of a floating block dimension. I don't know why they did this. It's just really disorienting, but it's also kind of funny. It is honestly really funny to me, and I'll never be able to not find it funny. But yeah, I don't think any other level does that, except I think the very last floating block challenge, which is obviously the hardest one. And all of them have their own little peccadillos and stuff that you gotta be aware of while you go through it. Just in general, beware of them. They're not easy. Alright, so, funnily enough, this is a part of the level only Patrick can go through. However, I believe it's possible to navigate with Spongebob, but it just takes like a ridiculous amount of really good timing.
I'm not feeling like a game of catch right now.
As you can see, I basically died the moment I touched the spikes.
Boing.
Yeah. It is not an easy part of the level to get through, and there's a lot of ways. Yeah, you can't get through there with Spongebob without a specific exploit, I believe. Like, you gotta be out of bounds, I believe, to do this with Spongebob. But you can just generally skip over that and freely access the whatchamacallit, that area as Spongebob. You're just first forced to do this small combat arena challenge. And I call it a pseudo combat arena challenge because it's not really a specific combat arena in the same vein of SpongeBob's specific challenge that he takes on. Like, again, there are 3 challenge formats. There's SpongeBob, Floating Block, and Combat Arena. I dare say Combat Arena is the easiest, because as you unlock more skills, it just gets easier and easier to do the specific challenges. Oh yeah, and also, there's a glitch here. Yeah, the music stops the moment you finish that challenge. There's a glitch that can happen where the music of the entire level just immediately stops. As you can see, now the music's back, and that little spring to take us to that arena is gone.
I'm not feeling like a game of catch right
And
now.
here's the end of the level as well. Unfortunately, this game doesn't really let enemy attacks in particular affect each other, only the enemy's bodies when they're getting hit, which is okay. Oh yeah, also, SpongeBob can't really, do his bubble bounce technique. And like with most levels in this game, most of the time you will be mainly playing as Patrick or SpongeBob for most of the level. And in exchange you'll see like the other character cameo somewhere in the level representing the fact that they're both on the journey. It's really cool, but it's also not exactly what I'd say conducive to the feeling of playing as both of them, or the feeling of playing as a pair of characters that you can freely switch between. It feels a lot more often like you are basically playing as one character, and oh my god, did I get the cycle? Yeah, I got a good cycle. Oh, damn it. Oh, no! I thought I got the good cycle. But yeah, if you are ridiculously fast, as soon as this Steve geyser goes out, you can basically never stop as you go through this segment. it's a little difficult to get the exact timing down, but as you can see, you can do it pretty safely. You basically have to jump to the next platform as soon as one Steam Geyser goes out. Or you can just do what I did and just take a damage boost. I just casually took the damage anyway because, meh, no point in waiting that long. Oh yeah, and Patrick's reflection is actually way stronger than Spongebob's. As you can see, it instantly kills spitters, which is both really funny and also kind of makes sense on the gameplay level because he literally cannot hurt spitters and other characters like that. But yeah, you basically only can... For Patrick, that's his only way of beating spitters. He has to reflect something or throw something at them, which is why he doesn't have a... It's why he doesn't have a, whatchamacallit, a solo level until a bit later. So as a result, it definitely feels like you play as Spongebob way more than Patrick. Oh yeah, and you get to crush them. And SpongeBob and Patrick have an oddly sooty texture in that scene that never appears anywhere else. I don't know why. But yeah, that's 3,000 miles to Shell City. Very silly level, very fun. But now we have Rub-a-Dub-Dub Slip Slide in the Tub. These are slide levels. They're probably the second most fun level besides the basic normal gameplay loop.
I found one last spot with those ugly plankton propaganda towers. Use whatever you can find to knock them down.
But yeah, the task here is basically just enjoy the funky slide level and really cool music. These levels are very fun to reach when you're younger.
Propaganda towers are here on the edge of the desert.
Oh, breathtakingly evil.
These tracks form part of the slide through this area. I need you two to race down them and knock those towers over.
Sounds kinda hard.
Don't worry, guys. Stay on the track, jump over obstacles, and hit any plankton signs you see along the way. Good luck.
But yeah, these levels...
Did you bother to tell us if the train was still running around here?
Now we have Rub-a-Dub-Dub Slip Slide in the Tub. Very fun level. Very silly level. These levels are super duper self-explanatory. They're just really fun to go through because there's generally a lot of stuff that happens. And thanks to how the level design works, you're basically forced to go through it the normal way first. And it gives you a really cool tour of the level first. Like that butte there is now accessible. Wait, did I get every treasure chest here? No, I didn't. Dang, I gotta go back and get that treasure chest. Alright, but in general, a lot of treasure chests are only available after you either A, get a certain power-up, or B, after you literally explore every inch of the level. Rub-a-Dub-Dub Slip Slide in the Tub is obviously the easiest slide level, because there's not really much to worry about. But it's very bluntly designed to be the point where young kids are made to make sure they don't get to easily get through. Like, this is absolutely the point where the game starts taking off the gloves and you start seeing more of the challenging stuff. It's in this vein that I feel the SpongeBob movie really feels like Battle for Bikini Bottom 2.0, because inherently the game gets way harder. I feel like I say this level is when it really takes the kick gloves off, because unlike Battle for Bikini Bomb, which is more or less open world, and every death is very, very, whatchamacallit, very inconsequential, I dare say. There's nothing really consequential about you falling or dying in Battle for Bikini Bottom. But in the movie, thanks to how linear the levels are, every setback is a lot nastier. And most of the challenges revolve around either A, good gameplay, or B, force you to be decent at the game just to get through them in the first place. Like so. This whole segment is pretty much designed to be a big old, you know, you can't really... Yeah, like, watch this. The track purposely loops back in on itself here if you fail to get the, whatchamacallit, if you somehow miss the big red target, then the game naturally loops you back around to come back here and successfully, safely get over this. Also, I'm going to go on a small tangent and say I really, really love the environment design of the movie game. It feels like, indeed, the movie game to the Battle for Bikini Bottom, which feels more like a traditional collectathon, versus the movie game, which feels not only like, I wouldn't even just call it a movie game or a movie adaptation game, but more so like an actual direct sort of successor to Battle for Bikini Bottom and everything it had in mind. Like, I dropped down there explicitly so that I could hunt down the extra. Yeah, you see the same checkpoint model too, which really exposes how the game was made in like about a year. It was not made to be anything more than just a quick budget title that takes advantage of the fact that Battle for Bikini Bottom had a completed engine and completed generally everything before the movie game came out. And what I'm doing here is just... I'm doing this to sort of... I'm doing this just to... Yeah, do this. You go up here, go up this butte, and you can unlock this extra. Like, there's a ton of alternate paths on this particular segment that I never fully saw or understood. And it's just a generally really cool part of the level's design. Again, part of why I say the movie game has really, really good design all over. It takes full advantage of the fact that it is fundamentally, again, Battle for Bikini Bottom 2. There's even this little room, hallway, where you'll see freely rolling rocks. And as you can see, another extra. There's a lot of extras that are very well hidden that you will never know are hidden until someone either points them out to you, or you're like, well, let me take this random tangent area that no logical, reasonable person would take. And there's no clear route down to them either. You just kind of... Yeah, you just kind of make those jumps and pray you land. And you really could literally indefinitely just circle around this area, just checking out all the alternate routes and seeing which one is fastest. It's a really cool aspect of replaying the game that I feel is kind of hurt by the game's own design, and I fall to my death. Oh yeah, you also see a bit more texture clipping on Spongebob and Patrick, because I guess it's because of the nature of the level they're in. And the fact that they're on a unique model that has to work. They are basically both in the same area, both having to do unique animations and whatnot. And that's the last tower. Alright.
I knew you guys could do it. Here's your reward.
Alright, and that's the end of Rub-a-Dub-Dub Slipslide in the Tub. Again, very fun level. Probably the point where the movie game really comes into its own. The point where I feel like it's probably at its coolest.
Plankton's evil plans continue across the desert, but Plankton
But
remains one
here we are
step
now.
ahead of them. He
This is
sends
where
someone to make
100%
sure
the
they
game
don't
stops
fail.
being like just
He
for
is
fun.
a vicious, ruthless killer named Dennis. Fortunately, Spongebob and Patrick have discovered the paddy wagon in a parking lot, but the key is missing. So the
So,
only thing to do
we're going into the Thug Tug for Bubble Blowing Baby Hunt, aka Triple B 3BH or BBBEH. It is. I don't know how to describe this level beyond the Noob Killer level.
You have to get the key to the paddy
Everything
wagon.
about this level is designed to be a massive screw you to anything about, you know, just getting through a level easily, starting with the rather steep Goofy Goober token requirement.
Good news, Patrick. You've got enough Goofy Goober tokens for me to teach you a new ability.
Oh yeah. So now we get the Smash.
My flop is the mightiest flop of all!
It's called the Smash.
You can do the... I love the fact that they decided to shout out Sailor Mouth by having it be censored. But it's also a little bit... I don't know how to describe it. It's hard to say what it's supposed to sit in for except just ass.
In the air?
Yes, you have to be in the air for the Smash to work. You can use it to press buttons, break through floors, and even defeat enemies. The paddy wagon is parked outside.
That doesn't...
You'll probably have to defeat all...
That...
You can do it,
Alright, so, thing about this
To
level,
the paddy
To the
wagon.
paddy wagon!
generally the point where difficulty spikes,
Careful!
you'll see these enemies.
Easy.
They're designed to basically be the screw you to any kid that doesn't either A, have the upgrade, or B, just not prepared for it.
Always said, if you can't sit...
What I'm going to do is obviously boost the Smash. And the thing about
Nothing
boosting
can
the Smash,
stop the mighty stun thingy!
yeah, you basically get to stun enemies. Extremely, extremely key for dealing with later enemies, especially enemies that are designed to be a lot more nasty in general. Like these guys. Thanks to the fact that they constantly attack and yeah, also enemies get tougher too. The Thug Tug Thugs ironically actually give the most manly points out of any enemy besides the endgame bucket helmet enemies, because obviously they're the most manly thing you'll fight. This is also probably the point where you will unlock most of your bonus power-ups. What I'm going to start off with here is just sort of... I think my focus here is just going to be trying to,
Watch your stuff!
whatchamacallit, gather up as many upgrade points as possible. There's a massive upgrade point bait area right here. These are all explosive crates, and the thing about them is you really want to set them off in a specific order so that you can avoid really...
Barrels that look like these are filled with
Yeah.
explosives and will blow up after you touch them.
Yeah, Mindy's right. So once you touch an explosive barrel, they will explode, and all of them have manliness points too. So the key is to set one off and...
Oh, the key!
Dang. I accidentally set off that. That's a turret enemy. Another easy enemy. Very easy to deal with if you have the Reflectomatic or Reflect Spin. They always go down in a single hit, so it's pretty much never going to be a problem to deal with them. In general, more of your troubles will come from just navigating the level, because this is the point where platforming will get trickier and you will see more enemies. Like here. But as you can see, the smash completely destroys them. They're very easy to deal with if you just know what you're doing. But they are 100% designed to kill kids. Oh yeah. Also we have the thug hammers. They are also very easy to deal with. Nothing you should ever be worried about. There's, I believe, a bonus minigame down here. No. It's first this little manliness points hole, and then there's... But yeah. The thing about this level is it's pretty much the point where, again, everything difficult about this game starts showing up. You just really want to be careful with how you approach it all. This is also actually time, so you actually really want to land these quickly, because if you don't, you will immediately fall into the water and have no way of coming back. Again, really want to be careful with this level. It's easily the level you will start dying a whole lot in if you're not careful. You can actually completely skip this segment. What I'm going to do is go through it anyway, just so I can not only get an extra Goofy Goober token, but you also get to generally enjoy a pretty goofy part of the level. It's very funny to witness this when you first go through here. But yeah, what we're about to see is Disco Star. Where for some reason every last one of the thugs is dancing to some extremely cheesy 60s disco music. Why? I don't really know why they do this. I don't know why this is a part of the level. It's just kind of funny to witness. All these deliberately tough-looking, scary-looking fish all just dancing around to the most stereotypical disco music you can imagine. Also, every last red panel automatically hurts you. So, yeah, don't step on red panels. There was actually a level kind of like this in Battle for Bikini Bottom. I think it's only the Murmur but oh yeah, it's only the Murmur. But you basically go into these levels and you have to fundamentally get past all the patterns to make sure you get to that very end. But yeah, that was Disco Star. Very simple, very funny. Random moment in a level designed to intimidate you, designed to mess with little kids, designed to make them feel really, really, really unwelcome. It's funny to run into this level and just have a funny little, whatchamacallit, a little comedic disco routine. And by doing that little enemy area, you blow up that and you can get an extra. So, oh, this is difficult. So there's a very specific pattern of blowing these up you can take. And what you really want to do is destroy you want to destroy these and basically, I think a small room of crates ahead at the same exact time to get all of the big manliness bonus. Yeah. You basically want to make sure all of those blow up at as close to the same time as possible.
Ooh, is this where they make the umbrellas that go in crates?
This is the lava room. If there was ever a part of this level that embodies why I think this is the noob killer level, it's definitely this part. The platforming is way more intensive. There's way more areas to die. In general, it's nowhere near as simple and straightforward as pretty much every previous point in the level. And yeah, there's that too. You also have a combat arena challenge over here. Very much not something you want to do unless you have at least a few upgrades. So again, telling of what this part of the game is trying to apply to you, this is the point where everything's going to stop being very friendly and nice and sweet. Oh yeah, and also dealing with enemies from way later. Well, okay, not quite way later, but in general, a bit later than you might be prepared to deal with. Like, all these are bottom of the sea enemies, all these are trench enemies, and they all attack a bit faster, they're all a bit more aggressive, they all, you know, take a bit more hits. The spitters are a bit more accurate, the belchers are a bit more accurate. And in general, it's the point where you really want to start having upgrades. I'd say the moment SpongeBob unlocks the Sponge Bowl is when he starts being, like, really good.
One hapless soul at a time. Is the room spinning or is it just me? Right back at ya.
You generally just really don't want to deal with any enemies here that are, whatchamacallit, not.
Ooh, there's a chill
Yeah.
in the air. These just ooze macho.
If you're not prepared for this part of the game, you will absolutely suffer for it. Like, all the foggers, again, are way more aggressive, way more on target, way more you've got to worry about. So far so good though. That handles them, and there's only one enemy left. This spitter. Damn.
I should bring ice skates next time. Return to sender. Tasty.
Again, the point in the game where everything starts to actually be difficult. Now for the third wave. That 50 will be very daunting when you're young, and the dark surroundings will really emphasize all that.
Bikini Bottom, one hapless soul at a time.
I don't know how many enemies I killed when you go there, but it would probably be hilarious to find out. Just don't stay in one place too long.
Love opening presents.
I think that actually hit both of them. That's
Is
neat.
the room spinning or is it just me?
Oh yeah, and the enemies start laughing for less time. Very important detail. So you run out of as much of your mercy time. Aw, oh, damn it! Literally the moment I got the freaking Krabby Patty. Ugh. Yeah, all the foggers are way more of a pain in the ass as soon as they start becoming more aggressive and start not really laughing for very long before they attack you again. It makes your mercy invincibility feel way shorter. In fact, I don't even think I think the mercy invincibility isn't even really a thing in this game. But yeah, I'll do this way safer. Again, this arena challenge is in my eyes probably the second hardest, if only because the first time you run into it you will not have the sponge bowl, and the upgraded sponge bowl is so important to SpongeBob's combat arena challenges getting way easier. It's really just that powerful as an ability.
Okay, this is a bit slippery here. Is the room spinning or is it just me? Filling, but not heavy.
Yeah, spitters are easily the worst part of this, because you really can't stay in one place for very long, and the foggers do not really care if you're busy with the spitter. They will just absolutely happily run up to you and belch in your face. Thankfully, again, reflect spin is extremely helpful in this case. Alright, that deals with 10 of them.
Ooh, there's a chill in the air.
Dang it, I was going for real close. Yeah, in general, just really keep moving during these combat arena challenges, especially later in the game. As you can see, that was probably one of the first times I've involuntarily died in this, and you will see a lot more deaths if you are not careful here. Damn it! What the hell just hit me? Now I really gotta focus and concentrate. I'm tempted to actually get my upgrade bash right now, if only to actually make this a bit simpler. Alright, that's wave 1. Again, the problem is just wave 3, where there's like 10 spitters, and you cannot stay in one place, because otherwise you will basically immediately die.
Is the room spinning or is it just me?
Oh yeah, and fun fact, I believe the trench enemies actually give out the least manliness points, which would be both hilariously ironic and also kind of a bleak symbol of what they really are. Like, they're ultimately just normal sea creatures. There's very little about them it's manly to deal with them over. In fact, I think they give out the same manliness points as Goofy Goober employees, who are all just normal dudes doing their job. Yeah, you will. I will get health upgrades later in the game because it's really not necessary right now. But more than anything, you really want to make sure you get the spitters cleared out in this wave. Otherwise, you're just going to be constantly dealing with. It doesn't help they all constantly move. Yeah, again.
Okay, this is a bit slippery here. Bottom, one hapless soul at a time.
Like, as you can see, I'm literally just trying my best to actually hit the enemies for the most part, and every time I go for a bash, I'm immediately swarmed by followers. Or burpees, or whatever you want to call them. Which should really tell you how nasty this wave is. Like, you really do not have room to actually deal with your threats. And anytime you think you're done with one, anytime you think you're hitting a spitter that you've already hit before, it turns out you're only hitting it first time, actually.
These just ooze macho.
Yeah, get ready for that to happen a ton. And that's the end of it. Oh wait, what? I thought that would actually end it. Alright, that finally ends that combat arena challenge. I think there's an obvious reason Patrick doesn't do them, because he can literally just cartwheel through most enemies. And I think the SpongeBob challenge exists because the SpongeBob model is just there. And again, this game is primarily made off 90% just Battle for Bikini Bottom assets. Just given an extra neat coat of paint. Can't believe I survived that. Anyway, you want to get across these pistons. And in general, this part of the level is, again, probably the longest, probably the hardest. Probably the point where I'd say, again, this is the point where the game stops letting you just be a kid. This is the part where the game starts being like, you know, you are not being this game before your rental period ends. It's explicitly designed to that end, and it's very shamelessly so. Like, as you can see, temporary platforms over instant death, instead of just like with 3,000 miles to Shell City, where it was, you know, you sort of have freedom to not really worry too much at 3,000 miles to Shell City. But then here, it's just completely a different story.
See ya. The manliness has led.
Also, to get that extra chest, you basically have to sacrifice a ton of progress. This here is throwing the fluid electric. And Patrick can only do it when he has the throw move. When you have the throw, then you can easily do that level, but otherwise, until then, you are pretty much euchred. You can't really do that level until you do it. I hope that my recent screw up or just taking on the whatchamacallit, the combat arena challenge, doesn't automatically lock me out of this extra, nor does it make it so that you can't really get the whatchamacallit. No, it makes it so that you can't get the extra. Darn. Alright, so what I have to do in a second is I have to first make sure I can warp to it. Then this is probably the one with the most manliness points in the game. If you want to get a lot of manliness points to give this stage a bit of a time to cool off or do some other Goofy Goober token mission, then do that stage. In general, again, this is the point where the game will very much not let you just have your fun. Like now you're going to have to play by its rules and all that entails. Like so. Just falling there, basically instant death. If I want to get that extra treasure chest, I gotta go back and whatchamacallit, not only do that entire bit of the level that I just did over again, but I also have to, as a matter of fact, I think I could pull it off. Alright, so I'm going to warp back to Disco Star, which should hopefully put me just above the area. And that basically tells you what the actual requirement is here. You have to basically... Yeah, I'll have to go through the entire level again, pretty much. You have to basically do every last bit of the level perfectly up till then, and then you can freely get that extra. It's probably one of the nastiest extras in the game because it requires perfect play. Also, we now have 2 upgrade points. Given the level ahead, I'm actually not going to put it toward anything for Patrick. I'm actually going to put it towards something for Spongebob instead. Thankfully, this part of the level will go by way faster because there's no extra tasks that I have to do. Like, I don't have to do that. It's the next area that I have to do if I want to get the extra chest.
How much of a man do I have to be? Look out below!
As you can hear, again, all of those go down right behind you, so you really want to get through this quickly. That's Disco Star down there. Alright. Oh no, you gotta do both those. Darn, I was completely mistaken. You have to actually do both of the mini tasks of beating the enemies all in a specific area to get through this, and I already failed. Damn. That should really tell you how restrictive that chest is in actuality. You have to do both miniature enemy rooms in order to unlock it, and you have to do it all in one go. If you don't do it all in one go, that extra is completely locked, and you will never be able to obtain it. I'm going to skip pretty much everything else and just do that enemy room, and if it doesn't unlock afterwards, I'm going to assume that it requires you to literally defeat every enemy up to that point, which would be horrifying, but I also would not put it past this game. But yeah, every enemy silver is fundamentally required to do this. You have to do both enemy sub-rooms, and then after that, make it all the way to the treasure chest without dying. Or doing a bonus challenge, which when you're doing this level for the first time, you will probably not do. You will probably not do either of those. again, I think it's extremely telling that this is how restrictive the condition is. This is easily the hardest extra in my eyes to get in the game, thanks to that restriction and how if you mess it up, you have to do the entire level over.
Macho stuff.
Alright, there we go. And there's the extra. Okay, so you do have to only do those enemy rooms, and you are free to more or less skip things to an extent. But I think it's extremely telling that, again, you gotta get through this fucking lava room to make it all the way there. Don't mind me, I'm just going to skip right by you, bro. Don't mind me. Anyway, we have our combat arena challenge there. Just, again, in general, symbol of the fact that you really gotta be careful of how you progress through this level. And also, all this ignores, again, that one extra, I think, up somewhere up ahead. I'll point it out when I see it, but I think it's telling that when you reach this point, this is probably easily the most
Cold, cold, cold.
Alright.
Kapow!
Yeah, there's no way you reach that chest unless you do the throw food challenge. So that's another extra chest that is completely locked off unless you have a specific power up. I would dare say they actually get less common as you go on because you have more extras. Is he gonna die once he touches the lava? Yes, he did die as soon as he touched the lava. So that's a weird thing about this game where enemies are absolutely affected by the environment and getting hit into each other, but show absolutely no effect when they're hit by each other's attacks. So the stuff you would expect to actually have an effect on them doesn't, but the stuff you wouldn't expect to always work on them actually does. It's a very, very, very strange status quo that the game upholds. And while it's kind of funny, it's also a little bit frustrating to deal with. Now we have this segment, just some needless platforming to deal with the turret enemy. I think this guy in concept art actually had a more edgy design where he actually straight up used a gun instead of a rocket gun. Anyway, here's our extra. Yeah, basically goes to show how actually difficult it is to get that extra. Alright, you want to get up there, and then you cartwheel over, destroy all these, and boom. Alright, now we have our extra, and now we can do the Spongebob challenge. And with that, we will finish up BBH soon. And I will probably go on to... I'll probably do no weenie parking anytime, and try to get through Now That We're Men or Rock Slide just to show off the upgraded Sponge Bowl because it's just that ridiculously strong. my focus for this level is just trying to get through it really quickly. I think there's a cycle I can make here if I'm stupidly good. Oh, whoops, damn it. Okay, so I think I almost didn't really make it, but in a way if I know what I'm doing here, and I'm not gonna make it. Darn. I thought for sure I'd make a cycle where you can basically just never stop rolling as soon as you start. I think every Spongebob level is arranged that way, where if you go stupidly fast, you don't have to stop whatsoever. But it requires such precise timing and control that you basically are making a gamble the moment you try for that.
Just roll with it, I always say.
Alright, that was decent. Yeah, I wasn't able to make the cycle where I could just roll on. I think if you make the cycle, you can get on this instantly and just never have to wait for it to fully spin in your direction. Also, gotta love how they modeled all this.
Manliness, even in the corners.
Like, as you can see, if you look closely, every model here has the same sort of 2D painted texture that paintings in the show would have. So it makes it all feel really in-universe and just a 3D version of the actual show. I feel like there's a lot of things that help the SpongeBob games, especially Battle for Bikini Bottom and the movie game, really stand out among the licensed games as just among the best. Alright, we're probably going to hit one more upgrade point before we end the level, so I'll have more than enough to not only get upgrade points for both SpongeBob and Patrick, but I'll also be able to generally devote everything else I get from here on out to getting the throw upgrade, which I'll just be straight up is extremely important for Patrick. It's probably his best offensive tool, a la how the Spongebob is SpongeBob's best offensive tool. But in a different way from the Spongebob, where the Spongebob basically makes it so that a lot of enemy combat scenarios become way easier to tolerate. Yeah. While Spongebob makes a lot of enemy encounters easier to deal with, in my opinion, Patrick's throw is ridiculously good at just making it so that you don't have to worry about all the non-stop stuff. Oh, and there's the key. And the key's gone. Here's the Boro Head, and here's SpongeBob's Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge. Another Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge. It's not that easy or difficult. They're just sort of there. I'm going to try my best to reverse Patrick here. And I couldn't reverse him. But yeah, it's funny. This is probably one of the more unique levels in the game entirely because it loops around the way it does.
Don't let it get away!
I think we've got the key now, Patrick. I also think you can get off of me.
Alright, so now we have the key. We got that extra. The Thug Tug is basically cleared out. And we can officially sort of... Oh, we have 4 upgrade points available. Awesome. So we'll actually upgrade both their health.
One more Krabby Patty with extra manliness, please.
And funnily enough, SpongeBob has the basic tiki background while Patrick has the, whatchamacallit, the flowers. It's a cute way to keep their personalities in touch. And we still have a P, so we'll upgrade later. Alright, with that, we've cleared out the Thug Tug and Bubble Boy and Baby Hunt. Now we have no weenie parking anytime. Another rather straightforward level. You basically do 3 laps around the Thug Tug. And after you do your 3 laps around the Thug Tug, you can go on to Rock Slide, which is probably the next fun slide level.
The gates out to the main road are locked.
Locked? Then how can we drive out?
Floor the paddy wagon and bust through the gates!
Sorry, Patrick. For that, we'd need a Super Krabby Patty Deluxe.
You can unlock the gates if you find all the keys around the track.
Alright, so again, this is the nature of the upcoming course. It is by default 3 laps, however it can be way more if you aren't good at collecting keys. In general, this is probably what I call the point where the game is willing to let you have a bit of a fun break for getting through Bubble Blowing Baby Hunt, because Bubble Blowing Baby Hunt is such a fundamentally much tougher level compared to everything previous. Like, again, it's the level where you basically will see the most shit happen.
We got ourselves a convoy.
Alright, we got one of the keys. I believe going up here will grant me an extra? Yeah. Overall, this is the point where the game is. Oh boy! Okay. So, you definitely want to make sure you get most of the keys in that, like, 1 or 2 laps, just so that you can spend the 3rd lap just driving around getting the actual bonuses. Oh yeah, fun fact, that windmill up there, you actually, look over here, that windmill, it actually breaks on lap 3 and proceeds to fall down and form the ramp. You can actually see it fall too. It's just a neat little extra bit of detail you wouldn't really expect a licensed game to put in. I'm going to take the top half a second time just so that I can, excuse me, make sure I got everything up here so that on the 3rd lap I can make it absolutely clear what I have and what I don't have. We take this way, we will see. I think there's a bonus around this way. There is some bombless pits. It's interesting to see them in a driving level, because you will not see them often. Yeah, there's actually no reason to go up there. Alright, you actually want to skip this ramp later on, so yeah, you can collect this extra. It's not the most well-hidden extra, it's just an extra that takes advantage of the fact that everyone assumes top half is the easy path. Also, yeah, as I said, the propeller brakes, goes down, and you'll see when you drive off it as a ramp to get the last key. And again, by default, you have to do at least 3 laps. Yeah, the other propeller's right up there. But yeah, you want to get most of the keys as soon as you can. I believe there was an extra alternate path that I may have skipped, or a key down on the lower path that I didn't grab. If that's the case, then that's on me. I'll just have to deal with that. Oh, right there. Yeah. Alright, so now we have the 4th of I don't know how many keys. It's probably the last one on this road. And the reason you're supposed to at least take this route at least once. Again, the game defaults makes it so that you have to drive 3 laps, so even if you were to somehow unlock every key in one go, you would still have to do 3 laps, because that ramp only unlocks on the 3rd lap. meaning you can only get the last key on lap 3, basically making it so that you will always do at least 3 rotations around. But as a result of what I've just done, I can basically just dump all my remaining nitrous into just... yeah. Again,
Well
very
done,
easy
SpongeBob.
level. Very easy after Bubble Blowing Baby Hunt. Pretty much designed to be something to relax you a little bit while also easing you into how much harder driving levels will get. Oh my god, I completely forgot about this. Yeah, there's a boss fight here, and it's extremely easy.
Patrick, we've got to start acting like men.
SpongeBob.
But it's okay for it to be so easy because
I'll
it's the
be
first
right
boss in the
back.
entire game. That isn't really just... I don't know how to put it beyond a pushover.
SpongeBob, wait! Make mine chocolate.
I'll have 2 chocolate banana splits with sprinkled fairy stars and goober beans. With extra sauce, please.
It's kind of crazy how they
Guys,
just
you can
completely
let
ignore
go
all the
now.
skulls.
I said let go, please.
And how many skulls there are.
What kind of old lady are you?
I'll save you, SpongeBob!
Alright, so this is the frogfish. The frogfish is very, 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 very easy to beat. You will not struggle with this boss. It is basically your stereotypical bullfight boss. Wait for it to rush after you. It hits the ledge. You knock it off the ledge. It falls down.
Keep doing it.
And this is where it enters phase 2. And you can absolutely cheese this by just spamming the smash. Yeah, you can literally just spam the smash. Yeah. You can basically completely skip later phases of the fight by just doing that. The upgraded smash completely destroys this boss. And as you can see, the frogfish is sort of just frozen in the distance. It was supposed to come back and do at least one more attack phase.
Patrick, step on it!
It was supposed to come back and do one more attack phase,
Have some ice cream.
but that's not what happened.
And so, the hideous creature was vanquished by an even more hideous creature, coming from the deep ocean trench.
Well, we lost our car again.
Never mind the car. Where's the road?
There's the road on the other side of the deep, dark, dangerous, monster-infested trench. Ugh.
After go
So yeah,
SpongeBob and Patrick
we're on to Rock Slide. Rock Slide is pretty much the sort of adaptation of SpongeBob and Patrick falling down into the trench. They literally turn it into an entire fucking
To
level.
get to Shell City, you're going to need to cross the bottom of the trench. You can get to the bottom using this slide.
And yeah, that's the thing. Now you're officially in the trench. As soon as you enter the trench, the game starts being
The only
difficult.
way across the
Like,
trench is
genuinely
along the bottom,
difficult.
but you have to get there first by traveling down the slide, past those sea monsters.
The trench is pretty deep.
As you can see, we now have
Where
our
are we going?
mustaches.
Oh, no sweat, Mindy. We're men now. Those sea monsters wouldn't scare a guppy.
That's the spirit. Now get down there as quickly as possible.
Now, the thing about Rock Slide is, it's a little bit tougher than, whatchamacallit, than Rub-a-Dub-Dub.
Hello.
You will very quickly learn that this is probably the level where you will run into the most resistance overall from the game. It'll also be probably your choke point level, because this is probably the point where a lot of people... I don't know what the hell happened there. But yeah, it's pretty much the choke point level, where you will run into most of your nastier threats. Like, more things will start being able to hurt you. Oh yeah, you can also completely skip this steam geyser segment by just jumping off that platform.
Patrick, I think you mean air.
Like, there's a ton of stuff you can skip on this level, but I'm going to save that for the time trial that I'm inevitably going to have to do because I didn't get anywhere near as many of the Goofy Goober tokens that I actually need to unlock SpongeBob's Sponge Bowl. So this will easily be the point where things start getting uglier, is what I'm going to call it. Okay. Yeah, that worked out. I thought that would actually not turn out as well as I thought it would, but it did. Overall, again, this is the point where everything stops pulling any punches at all. As you can see, there's this little segment where you will deal with two of them shooting at you at once. But it's also a segment that's very easy to actually completely skip. Actually, as a kid, I always skip that segment, so it always feels new when I actually do it normally, because I'm always so used to just getting through this segment within a couple of seconds by just skipping everything. I'm going to hopefully get an extra up here. In general, again, this level is the point where a lot of the nasty stuff starts happening. You will see a lot more nasty enemies, a lot more tricky platforming. But it's also a point where SpongeBob and Patrick's quips get a lot better because they're hyped up on their seaweed mustaches, so now they're just going to start saying a bunch of legitimately kind of badass stuff. I'm gonna take the low road this time. The high road, I believe, leads to an area where you can collect a few items, or is generally a bit faster, but this road, meanwhile, if you can land this extremely obscure shortcut that is designed to be something that takes advantage of your blind spots, then you're able to take this little route, which leads you down to an extra. This was probably one of the hardest extras for me to get as a kid because I just never understood how to actually get to it. Anyhow, I think this is the part where the roads reunite. You really also don't want to be too stuck in your ways here because, again, as you see from everything we just passed, everything from here on out is going to be a lot nastier. You will run into a lot more nasty enemies, a lot more nasty platforming, and a lot more necessary pattern recognition, or else you will die. Plain and simple.
Take that, you big monster thingy!
And yeah, there's a lot of sea monsters out here. Pretty much every sea monster you see here, you will actually be confronting later on in Now That We're Dead. So that's a neat little thing about the level. It fundamentally foreshadows what you will be dealing with. Okay, this is probably easily one of the most confusing parts of the level because I never know which route goes where until I go on it. I'm just going to take this part and see what happens. If all things go well, then, we'll run into an extra. If not, we're probably gonna die. Okay, we definitely skipped over an extra. So, you definitely want to actually take the high road here, I think. If that's where let's checkpoint took me. Okay, yeah. Yeah, the ships are down there. If you take the high road, usually you'll get what you're looking for. But there's every once in a while where actually taking a lower route will be what leads you to the bonus. This is easily one of the more confusing variants of that. Like, you want to take this specific cavern to find the extra bonus right there. And if you don't time it right, you can easily fall to your death. I believe you want to take the highest route, which leads into the cave, to be able to clear the Macho Time challenge, or dare I say you have to actually just straight up skip it entirely. Because there's a means of getting down to the end of the slide down there. You can barely make it out on the bottom right that I just passed, where if you make it to the bottom of the slide, you can basically skip over a massive chunk of the rest of the level. Yeah, this is another case of you have to basically just have insanely good dodge timing. And there's our extra. Again, this level is full of alternative paths and stuff that you're just not going to see or reach unless you make that plunge. Anyway, I think I have a good idea of where all the stuff is. I think we skipped over one of the sea monsters that we can... I think we skipped over one of the sea monsters we'll encounter now that we're men. But I'm definitely going to just try to clear this first and see if we can't get the sponge bowl. Alright, we're now at the bottom of the trench.
Holy cow! You actually did it?
Of course we did. We're men.
Yeah, right. Here's your reward.
I love how Mindy actually shows equally as much surprise. Like, wow, you actually pulled it off. Now you gotta get through the trench itself. So, the trench, now that we're men, again, if bubble blowing baby hunt is a difficulty spike, now that we're men is the point where the game says, okay, you've gotten through all the early game stuff.
This place is full of horrible, hideous, and disgusting monsters. You've got to cross the trench to get to Shell City.
Yeah, that's this level in a nutshell. The sea monsters are not here just for show. They're here to basically emphasize that this is the point where everything is way harder.
You have enough goofy goober tokens to earn your next ability, the Sponge Bowl.
Alright, so now we have the Sponge Bowl. AKA SpongeBob's best ability, by far.
Right-o-matic! Oh, I forgot my spoon.
No, Sponge Bowl. It's really useful on things you don't want to get too close to.
FKA TNT crates.
Those nasty bucketheads must be stopped. Shell City is on the other side of this dark, scary place.
Real men aren't afraid of the dark.
You need to get across this trench.
Real men aren't afraid of the trench?
Of course they're not. Just look out for monsters.
Monsters.
Alright, so we now have the Sponge Bowl. It's basically the Bubble Bowl. Very much a necessary ability to have. Probably the most necessary you'll have so far. I'm going to actually be a bit conservative. Like, that's how it's originally going to look.
He likes me!
Yeah, for some reason Patrick's riding a sea monster and completely ignores the effects of lava. But yeah, that's the Sponge Bowl. Very, very simple and blunt in its original state, but when you upgrade it, it now creates a fucking explosion. The Macho Sponge Bowl is honestly kind of crazy. Like, as you've just seen, it basically is a fuck you to anything that hits. Anything it hits will basically be completely decimated, and you get this insanely strong electrical explosion on top. I'm going to save this upgrade point for Patrick's special ability, and that we'll get in Shell City Dead Ahead. Shell City Dead Ahead is easily the point where the game starts being... I kept saying the point where the game starts being... If now that we're men is the point where the game starts being genuinely difficult, Shell City Dead Ahead is the point where the game becomes, like, actually brutal even if you're an experienced and adult player. Alright, now you have these guys.
Right back at ya.
They're also kind of funny, but
Ow.
yeah, they have a funny little celebration where they're like, yep, 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 yep. But they're also very easy to take down with the reflect. As we see, there's an extra chest up there. I'm going to get through this level for one reason and one reason only, because it's just overall a straightforward level that has most of the more difficult challenges. And it will probably be the point where if you're not prepared for it, you will die a lot. So I will use this time to sort of help anybody who might be stuck at this point in the game.
Spinning, or is it just me?
In general, yeah. Easiest part of the level, you're just going through platforming like you usually do. But again, the dark music is not here just for show. This is easily the point where things start getting ugly. Like you have forward-facing wall jump puzzles. You'll have more complex platforming challenges like what you're about to see.
I'm not feeling like a game of pet right now. These just
Yeah.
macho.
Now you see why I said unlocking the Sponge Bowl is so important for Spongebob. Because it basically gives him a long-range option against any enemy in the game. Every enemy in the game now he can basically deal with a lot better. Oh yeah, and that Combat Arena Challenge. I will show off exactly why the Sponge Bowl is so important at this point, as soon as I get to that Arena Challenge. Alright, so this is SpongeBob's Combat Arena Challenge in the trench. Probably the nastiest one so far, because you will be dealing with actual full power bucketheads, as you can see. You really want to avoid, you know, getting too direct with them. The shooters are actually probably easily the easiest thing to deal with. As you can see, they fire off way faster and actually leave behind a much longer lasting cloud of, well, toxic gas, I guess. So a major reason you really want to keep your distance and be prepared for these things. Again, they all go down in one hit, funnily enough, if you reflect all the projectiles at them. It's the funniest thing about them, they all go down in one blow if you just hit their projectiles back at them.
Better. That's showing up manliness, even in the corners. Bottom, one hapless soul at a time. Up to daisy! Turn to sender!
But yeah, these are the bucket heads you'll see in Shell City. I mean, not Shell City. In whatchamacallit? Planktopolis, which is the point where the game officially hits its phase. Alright, I gotta hurry up and hope to God I get this last Krabby Patty. Okay, so, as you can probably see, this is why I say you really want to actually get all the whatchamacallit. Oh dang it. Alright, I gotta hurry up and get over there ASAP. Dagnabbit. As you can see, I'm literally just running around trying my best not to stay still and just trying my best to... Oh yeah, and the enemy I'm currently fighting is a Merv. They're probably easily the most difficult enemy to deal with in the game, because they just have so much stuff they can hit you with, from a close range laser that automatically strikes you as soon as you... Yeah, as you can see, I'm really struggling to stay away from enemy attacks, because there's just so much coming at me. Again, you can easily kill the enemies like the ones that I'm launching the green projectiles back at in one blow, but it requires such a ridiculous, really good timing. Oh, I didn't know you could actually hit them while they were celebrating. I didn't know you could actually hit them with the karate chop. I genuinely thought they always teleported away in time. I did not know that. That's so cool. Dagnabbit.
Is the room spinning or is it just me?
You definitely want max health once you hit Planktopolis, because you're just going to be dealing with enemy waves just like this all the time, and they're all very, very... Also, as you can see, this is why I'm so determined to stay away from all these guys. Half to prevent too much lag, and half because, like, it's just genuinely impractical to try to deal with all the enemies at once. Like, I shit you not, it's genuinely not smart to try to take them all down. Alright, that takes care of the last of them. Alright, now there's the Merv. And that handles that. And that's probably one of the hardest combat arena challenges in the game handled.
Vacuuming up manliness, even in the corners.
I think the only reason that this appears so relatively early is because the Sonic Wave guitar is just not that helpful. Especially when it comes to these enemy encounters. And it's also, I think, why it's pretty much nearly absolutely necessary to get the whatchamacallit, the reflect gloves. Because otherwise the projectiles would just come too fast and too often and you would just die. Speaking of, since I'm literally about to unlock another bonus point, I will get SpongeBob's upgrade bash. Now, we're going to help Patrick out here. And that's going to fire a rock that smacks that sea monster in the face and finally lets Patrick go free. I think there's no way to destroy that thing.
Nothing like a little man type stuff.
And what I'm going to do now is open up this teleport box. Now, the thing about this teleport box is I'm only having it here for the sake of, in case I don't get all the... I never understood the nature or necessity of this platform here. It basically doesn't really serve a purpose because SpongeBob can't really, you know, reach it.
Not so fast! I get monster sick! Oh!
Now, you can actually skip this wall jump if I... Nope. I did not time it right. You can actually skip that wall jump area by just jumping on that boil over there and literally just platforming over to where you're trying to go. But it's very difficult to actually land there.
Forgot my floaties.
There's a lot of death here that really didn't need to happen. Alright, so now we have this wall jump, probably my least favorite in the game because of how easy it is to mess it up. And a funny little texture glitch where the trail of the rocket was confused with the trail of the lava ball.
Not so fast! I get monster sick!
The star is starting to bug me because it's around 7 o'clock and damn it! Okay, we're going to try this one more time. I'm definitely going to try to clear this level real quick. Hopefully before he starts trying to line at me. One of the most difficult things about being an adult and loving your pet is the simple fact that pets have needs too. So as a result, even if you're trying to get business done or trying to do something fun, you kind of gotta worry about, oh, will my dog be okay? Okay, so that's the powered up dash. And as you probably just saw, check it out. Instantly takes down most spitters in the game. I think the only spitters that don't get immediately killed by that are, whatchamacallit, Planktopolis spitters. And even they kind of are an iffy case, I'd say. They're a case of only, like, you know, if by some weird circumstance they end up unable to be destroyed by just one hit. I genuinely think most spitter enemies are always going to be, you know, spitter enemies in general are way easier to deal with in that regard. Alright, so now we're here at the final bit of this challenge. Not really fun if you're... Oh yeah, and this is the only bungee challenge where the bungee glitch doesn't work, apparently. I've tested it a few times myself, and for some reason it just does not work. Alright. Well, that was easy. I didn't expect that to happen. So, anyway, you will have every once in a while part of the level where you have to bubble bowl or sponge bowl these sea monsters, that the one I just hit for one, and as soon as you get hit by it, well, you kind of have to hope to God that nothing happens as a result of it.
Boing. Right?
This is the point where the game will very happily start throwing a ton of extra obstacles at once at you.
Is the room spinning or is it just me?
I'm gonna see if he does a celebration dance. There it is. This is a very annoying puzzle if you don't have the upgraded sponge bowl, because if you don't have the upgraded sponge bowl, it basically forces you to hit both of those levers at once.
Nothing like a little man type stuff.
This is also very annoying if you don't have Reflect Glove, because you end up being forced to have to do this platforming challenge while getting shot at by the turret guy. Now, what I'm going to do here is a funny trick. Now, normally you go to this arena and you deal with enemies getting spawned by that spawner over there, and you have to constantly bubble bowl this thing while you're getting attacked by enemies. But if you just stay back and just spam an upgraded sponge bowl at it, it literally takes a fight that's supposed to be like, I believe, 6 hits. Yeah. Instantly ends it. Ends it in 3. So by just staying out of range, you can basically make it so that you will never have to worry about any attacks from the enemy or whatnot. And you won't have to worry about these falling from the sky either. Another design to make sure you getting hit by something or have something to worry about while you're dealing with the gatekeeper sea monster.
Okay, this is a bit slippery here.
It really goes without saying how insanely strong having an explosive attack is for Spongebob, because it allows him to basically completely skip a lot of enemy attack patterns, as well as keep tons of enemies who would be a problem up close very far away. 716.
Hey, this is great. You really gotta try it.
Alright, so this is the latter half of Now That We're Men, and the first time a level will be so long that you have to go through a bonus area to get to it. And what I just did there was completely skip a small platforming puzzle. Normally you have to destroy that over there and do so in a fashion that allows you to quickly get rid of... You have to destroy that enemy spawner over there. The issue is, you are completely disallowed from it until you have something like that. And a good chunk of this... You miss out on a good chunk of mainly points if you don't do this. This small puzzle, which is why I'm not really a massive fan of it. it's just generally a point where speedrunners have to really be good at the game by nature, because of course they do. But by at least just going there, you can get the 50 manly points, and everything else is just like, everything else there is a 1 point, so like it's not really the most, it's not really the most
Go for it, baby. Prosper.
you can absolutely actually land the jump I'm about to attempt off just a karate spin and doing that. That is actually a speedrun strat right there. Most speedrunners just jump up on that door, jump on that spring, and then proceed to easily get to this point in the level without ever having to worry about the platform puzzle there. It's overwhelmingly cool to see it actually performed by an expert.
Nothing like a little man type stuff.
But overall, for me, it's just the satisfaction of being able to, you know, not worry about something that's very annoying. This part of the level, you're not going to get through unless you have Spongebob in the Sponge Bowl. And this is probably the point where a lot of the enemies and whatnot, as well as the puzzles, start allowing you to actually experiment with the other character a bit more. Like, this area in particular is a massive Patrick area, more or less. Like a huge chunk of the level designed only for Patrick. Only Patrick can really make full use of this part of the level. As you can see, if you play Battle for Bikini Bomb, there's a ton of freezy fruits around here. And it's all designed for Patrick to be able to have some time to shine and, you know, experience a little bit of platforming through this level. As well as a little bit extra, whatchamacallit, just incentive in general to explore the level as another character. Now, what we have here is what I call the one true combat arena challenge in this level. First off, you're quote-unquote eaten by this sea monster, and you have to deal with the squad of enemies.
Vacuuming up manliness, even in the corners.
And every time you defeat one squad of enemies, you are taken up to the next level where you will face more enemies.
Super fun! Saving the day!
Like, I think we're going to jump up to where we were previously now.
Ooh, there's a chill in the air.
Alright, that takes care of that ugly guy. Now we're up to level 3. This is where we were locked. Again, this is where we were locked. It's funny how you can really just completely skip this aspect of the encounter by just standing behind this area and just spamming upgrade and Sponge Bowl, because nothing can really hit you.
Right back at ya.
And this is the next, and I believe final level. You go up here and then you have a spitter, a shooter, and a, whatchamacallit? Yeah, and a shooter.
Ow! Okay, this is a bit slippery here.
And again, as soon as you finish this, you're out and you're free to get to the last bit of the level. Which is ironically probably the hardest point if only because, well, not really the hardest point. It's supposed to be the hardest point because, you know, you're dealing with these guys and a bunch of a bunch of other trench monsters being spawned at once. But if you have the upgraded sponge bowl, they all go down in like one shot. We're going to collect that after we, excuse me, get over to this little alcove. And it will all make sense in a second, I promise. There is an extra down there as well. Your eyes didn't deceive you. It's right there. We collect that extra, we will be able to... Oh yeah, another thing. Overall, this area is only accessible after you get Patrick's throw move. So what I'm going to do is... I'm going to do the Flowing Block Challenge, then Flowing Lava Dessert, and all sorts of other stuff on my next... when I return, probably. For now, I'm just going to clear the Flowing Block Challenge and probably complete the level. Oh yeah, this is the introduction to spike blocks. They are a colossal pain in the ass. It's a whole new level of thought you have to put into your platforming around these areas. And you also get trampoline blocks, which are far and away the easiest blocks to endure. Oh yeah, and if you press the slam input, the smash input ridiculously close to when you bounce, you cancel out the explosion, the impact itself, and get Patrick just in a blur animation. It's really cool to do. And overall pretty easy, all things considered. Whoop! Up, and I missed it. But yeah, this is, I think, an easier flowing block challenge than the previous one. If only because, like, you don't have to deal with perpetually rotating blocks anymore, but you also can die a lot easier because of the spikes. I won't say it's like... I will bluntly say I do not view it as remotely as insanely tough as the early flowing block challenge or later flowing block challenges. It's just this odd niche of in between where it's a little annoying to do if you're not careful. And thanks to the trampoline blocks, it's very easy to lose track of time. Especially given that there's a segment like this where your focus is actually pure vertical gain. It's very easy to lose track of time. Okay, I somehow landed that. There is, I believe, an extra up here designed to be very, 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 very hard to fully see unless you get a really good timing on it. I don't see it. Oh yeah. And as you can see, the end of the level is probably the hardest because you have a big old dive to do. And your dive will be through several spike blocks. If I'm lucky, I might be able to clear it. I'm not sure. I have a feeling I won't be able to. But this is the point where you deal with rotating blocks again and have to deal with their timing, as well as some ice cube blocks in the mix, just to make sure you can't get comfortable. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to clear this, but I'm going to try my best to make a mad dash for it anyway. And I'm not going to clear it. Okay. So we're going to restart the challenge. And hopefully, you definitely need, I believe, the full time limit here because This is probably the one floating block challenge without a generous time limit. Especially given the latter bit where you have a lot of cycles you gotta deal with. But again, this trampoline segment probably one of the easiest segments in a floating block challenge because you're just bouncing. That's the extent of the challenge here. You just gotta bounce right. And generally judge where that's moving. And it's kind of useless for trampoline blocks to rotate as well. That's a neat little aspect to them. It's pretty much completely useless for them to rotate because you will always be just bouncing off them. You will never be just sitting there on top of one for no reason. And as for this point, finding the specific cadence and rhythm and area that doesn't have some craziness going on is probably the hardest part of the level. Especially when you're dealing with both rotating blocks and spike blocks.
Jumping, jumper,
Especially here. This here is probably my least favorite part of any floating block challenge, besides I think the last one, the very last one, because of the fact that there's a bunch of actually perpetually flipping blocks that you will never fully understand the timing of. Thankfully I'm later into the level so I can get the extra pretty easily, but it's still pretty nasty to deal with this late into the level, especially when you're probably dealing with your time limit running low. Like that. That is probably why I hate this part of the level so much, because it's only stopped for so long. They only stop spinning for so long, and while they're still spinning, it's basically certain death to get on top of them.
Oh, goody! Another one!
Like that. Very, very, very brutal part of the level. But here's the easy one. And I'm going to do something a little bit absurd. Or that can happen. And I can land on that exact frame, on the exact frame of the block where I wouldn't take damage. Probably one of the most frustrating things you can deal with. Thankfully, it's the very end of the level, so you can just drop down. Anyway, that's the end of that floating block challenge. Simple and straightforward. After I do this, I will probably call it quits for this recording and upload to YouTube. And we'll continue on with probably a live stream later on tonight, which is where I will bluntly begin plugging. So now that we're nearing the end of this segment of the playthrough, I want to start plugging my book, EX I Want to Be the Hero. It is my personal passion project, I want to call it pretty much my life purpose. And the thing about it is, it's fundamentally a superhero buddy cop story. If you like superheroes, if you like buddy cop stuff, it is fundamentally a story about two guys trying their best to have their superhero story fundamentally. And it's generally a story designed for people who like both classic stuff and people who want something new and unique. But yeah, we will close off this part of the level here. Thank you for watching, and check out EX I Want to Be the Hero sometime very soon. There will be a lot more content about it on this channel very soon. But we're going to first get out of the trench, and I will show Shell City Dead Ahead, which is our next level, and where we're going to have a lot more insanity
That
to
is
come.
how Spongebob and Patrick escaped the trench full of hideous, disgusting monsters. Meanwhile, Dennis continues to follow our heroes.
So, here we are, Shell City Dead Ahead. This is where the playthrough will continue next time, and I guarantee you, Mindy is about to reject me because I don't have enough Goofy Goober tokens to unlock the throw. So when I get this, I'll say dead head.
Televisions to brainwash unsuspecting ocean creatures. You must destroy those televisions.
Yeah, this is probably the end game, the beginning of endgame. One of the hardest levels in the game, one of the nastiest overall. One of the longest.
Patrick, you've collected enough Goofy Goober tokens.
Shit! Okay then. So we now have the throw.
Now with improved targeting, whatever that is. Okie dokie.
Plankton's using those TVs to try and trick people to come to Bikini Bottom. If they go, they'll become slaves in his army.
If only there was something I could do.
You have to destroy the TVs. Who knows how...
Never fear, Mindy.
So, okay, we now have the throw. I wasn't expecting to have it, but we have it. I guess we're gonna upgrade it real quick. And
Boom. Enough said.
going off the time, I will probably give in a little bit more time. So, first off, before we go,
Feather, but heavy as a
I'm going to show off the upgraded throw.
How much of a man do I
You can do
have?
silly stuff like that. It's very fun.
Other stuff here?
But what we're going to do first is we're going to go back through and we're going to unlock pretty much every
favorite line ever.
whatchamacallit non-Sonic Wave Guitar challenge in the game. Starting with Up Chocolate Creek. Now, Up Chocolate Creek you're supposed to only be able to do with the Sonic Wave Guitar. However, you're absolutely able to do it with just Patrick and a throw. Due to the delayed explosion of the throw and how it works.
Little
Like-
guy, big
like this.
steak.
You can pick up enemies and you can do this.
Kapow!
Okay, you had to very specifically aim it. I think that's a telling factor. You have to be very particular with how you target the whatchamacallit, the buttons. But if you do target them right like I just did, you unlock Up Chocolate Creek early. You don't have to go get the Sonic Wave Guitar or any of that other nonsense. You can just go in here, waltz in, play Up Chocolate Creek, get the extra Goofy Goober token, and from there just generally completely ignore the design philosophy of the game where they want you to basically go back to the first level way later in the game and actually finally get the last Goofy Goober token available there. It's very funny how it works this way, especially given how easy Up Chocolate Creek is. Like, this is, like, in comparison to everything else in the early game, this room is obviously a bit of a toughie. But it's surprisingly funny how... It's surprisingly easy how, with everything you gotta go through to get it. So, now the only challenge we can't do is the Sonic Wave Guitar Challenge. We've collected pretty much every treasure chest except the 3,000 miles in Rub-a-Dub-Dub. I will probably get that later. So now we're going to do Throwing the Fruit Electric. Again, probably one of the last truly evil parts of the game to get through. And after I finish this, I gotta make some calls. I didn't know it was this easy to get up there. Okay, so the whole premise of Throwing the Fruit Electric is you basically get to go through this much harder, I dare say, challenge than you're probably used to. It's generally a lot harder than... Yeah, it's also designed to make sure you can't just use the upgraded throw to get through everything. it's a little, I dare say it's a little bit excessive as a challenge overall. But it all serves a general purpose, I dare say. Like, this point, probably the nastiest extra challenge in the game. And you will literally only have a split second to hit the button. But when you do, yeah, that's throwing the fruit electric. Probably, I dare say, a big noob killer in and of itself. But as soon as you clear it, you can just go through it. I think most of the problem with it is solved as soon as you beat it. And now that I have the extra, I can just sort of skip out.
What this screen does? Please tell me.
Yeah, we got both of the extras there. We got all the extras in Rock Slide. That's awesome. So off to Frozen Lava Dessert, where we will finish off for the night, and I will hit y'all up later with probably an art stream late tonight. It'll be a little bit suggestive. We might be drawing some things that aren't exactly entirely safe for work, but we'll take full advantage of the fact that we're grown and able to do that. Anyway, this is Frozen Lava Dessert.
Slipping.
Simple and straightforward challenge. All you gotta do is just walk over here using the Freezy Fruit. It's literally one of 2 locations in the entire game where there's a Freezy Fruit. Otherwise, it's a completely useless power-up. Which is a little disappointing to me, especially considering, like, almost every location in Battle for Bikini Bottom had at least 1 or 2 really big Freezy Fruit locations, where the game encourages you to, you know, do something silly. And what I'm going to do here is go collect this extra. Alright, and dang, looks like I couldn't find that bonus manliness points down there. There's actually some bonus manliness points somewhere around here that I'm not sure where they are, but they're right in front of a lava fall. But yeah, I'll just show this off one more time real quick.
Oh, slidey stuff.
But yeah, given what you go through to get here and the slow power up itself, but yeah, that's all the throw fruit stuff. That's all the bonuses that only Patrick can get. And I will probably hit you guys up some other time. We're going to go through Shell City Dead Ahead and probably clear the game. But otherwise, thank you for watching, thank you for coming along, and I'll see you guys later.